Juggling is one of those skills that look like anybody can do it, but it takes grace and finesse, something that I lack. So how difficult could it be to learn how to juggle for someone like me that has the coordination of a newborn baby giraffe? Can I learn to juggle continuously for 25 seconds, or admit for the rest of my life I'll be as clumsy as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking through New York City? But if I wanted to learn how to juggle, I needed to find some balls. I didn't have balls to juggle, so I used my sock. I took a sock and rolled it up to the open end and flipped this end over the sock. Then I took the other sock and did the same. My friendly neighbor that smokes funny smelling tobacco was very helpful with this part. Then I took one sock, shoved it into the other, and rolled the end over both the socks. Even though I'm horrible at laundry, I still made this work. Here's a pro tip. If you have a teenage son, do not use his socks. Once I had all three done, it was time to try my first attempt at juggling. This was going as well as the time when I tried to learn how to fold clothes. So I turned to someone with experience. My ex, she always claimed to be great at juggling balls. But I got no response, so I turned to the internet. It was very helpful, and I found out I was not too far off from doing things the right way. Everything I was doing was completely wrong. Apparently, when learning, I should have started off with one ball, tossing it back and forth, trying to get it to cross around my eyes and keep it within this imaginary little hallway. Once I was comfortable with that, then I could switch to two balls. I'm trying to throw a ball with one hand, and as the ball starts to come down, I throw the other ball to the other hand. They should be crossing around my eyes, kind of making an X. I keep repeating that while alternating hands till that becomes comfortable. Then I can move on to three balls. With two balls in one hand, I toss the ball to the other hand, and as it's coming down, toss the ball from the other, and as it's coming down, toss the ball with the other hand. Once that becomes comfortable, I can increase the amounts of throws till I get better and hopefully reach that 30-second mark. Sounds easy enough, but there were three hurdles in the way. Number one, coordination. Something I struggle greatly with. Trying to throw that ball in the same trajectory to land in the right spot is more difficult than it sounds. The repetitive aim needed for that is something that men can really struggle with. Some women struggle with this problem also. Have you seen the women's bathroom in bars? But I figure with enough muscle memory, this should be easy to overcome. Hurdle number two, reflexes. The moment that ball leaves your hand, it needs to be prepared to catch and toss the next ball. All this happens in a fraction of a second. On top of that, with my poor coordination, I also need to make small adjustments so the balls don't go flying everywhere. Good reflexes are needed, and apparently mine are horrible. At least that's what one of my exes told me, and to prove it, she'd used my sensitive area as target practice. And you might be thinking, somebody get this man a hotline number. But I got my revenge. She was only 4 feet 11 inches tall, so I would put her favorite snacks on top of the fridge. Hurdle number three, distractions. You know that blue fish that has the mind of a child from that movie where a man's wife is brutally murdered and then he lets his physically disabled child get kidnapped, so he travels for miles in order to rescue his child? I believe it's called Taken. Anyways, I'm that blue fish. Every time I get a flow, something would pass by to distract me. Ooh, is that a bird? Is that a commercial for hair regrowth?
Squirrel!
I knew in order to overcome this, I'd have to focus harder on my balls than when I was a teenager. So I started off with one sock, seemed easy enough. But I was far from perfect. Sometimes I was too short, sometimes I was too high. I practiced this for a while, but unless you're one of our four-legged canine friends, it gets boring real quick. It was time for two balls. It was really hard to get out of the habit of wanting to throw the ball sideways. I'm not sure if it was never trying to learn to juggle the right way or if it was years of competitive dice throwing on the streets. But it didn't take too long to break the habit. My left hand, which is not my dominant hand, didn't want to work in unison with my right hand, causing the ball to venture off and then my right hand trying to adjust till it all went wild. Eventually, it was getting easier. A pattern was starting to shape. The muscle memory was kicking in. I could feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. I got on up, it was juggling time. So I kissed my lucky egg and began to practice with 3 balls. 3 balls was tricky at first, but practicing with 1 ball then 2 made the transition pretty easy. The biggest problem was trying to catch these large sock balls. Having 1 ball in my hand and trying to catch another usually caused one of the socks to go flying. One interesting fact you might not know about socks balls is that they love coffee, and if you don't watch them, they'll jump right out of your hand and right into your cup of coffee. And now that I think about this, I was so busy with everything that I forgot that the sock ball I've been throwing around, dropping on the floor, landed in my coffee, so I continued drinking it. I give sock coffee 3 stars. With 1 ball smelling like sock coffee, I pressed on, which was really difficult. It started to smell as bad as these hookers' pantyhose, so I was really excited when these juggling balls came in. They were much more easier to practice with than socks. I highly suggest that if you want to learn to juggle, you get some juggling balls. It's usually always best to get the right tool for the right job. Sometimes I'm that tool. Like during COVID quarantine, I hung 12 TVs, 24 picture frames, and 3 light fixtures. Some of my friends really need to learn simple home improvements. So if you would like to teach Tina, Courtney, or Brad, give them a call. With new balls in my hands, I began practicing hard. I got the movement of tossing and catching down, but I still sucked at the fundamentals of tossing the ball accurately. I needed to work on keeping my arms in and letting the balls float across my eyes, then gently glide them into my hands, kind of like this. But instead, it was going like this.
Come on, Blue, you can do it! I can do it!
I began to get better and better. Soon I was able to juggle for 5 seconds and then for 10 consecutive seconds, but I was still struggling with poor technique. In order to reach my goal of 25 seconds, something had to change. That's when I decided to implement behavioral therapy. When I did something good, I got a treat. When I did something bad, I got a punishment. Something good, get a treat. Something bad, punishment. Good, treat. Bad, punishment. I was ready to achieve my goal of continuously juggling for 25 seconds. With a little bit of determination, a tiny bit of fear, and over 2 pounds of peanut M&Ms in my belly, it was montage time. I couldn't tell at the time, but I achieved my goal. When I realized I did, it kind of felt like this. I no longer felt like a drunken baby giraffe. I felt more like a soaring eagle. If you enjoyed this video, maybe you would like to see me try to solve a Rubik's Cube in under a minute. Old limes, pretty easy to juggle with.